Howdy, everybody. Welcome to a hump day show. A hump day is a bump day.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday, all day.
It's
halfway to Friday, you might say.
Yeah, it's always the middle of the week, depending on what...
Ooh, that's a swift observation if I've ever heard one. There's financial analysis at its finest, folks. You heard it here first, only here. Anyways, just to set the record straight, if any of you are here to see Bruce Linton today, it's tomorrow, not today, that he's going to be here. Apologies for the mix-up, which was our fault. And yeah, so you might want to just go and make some cookies or something and come back tomorrow. Or you could just hang out today, because today we have Helena Strachan here from MediPharm Labs, which I don't know if you've been paying attention. This is one of the few companies with some serious quality earnings. Yes, I do have a cold. Thank you very much to the lady in seat 13D for getting on the plane and broadcasting her pestilence throughout the plane, infecting yours truly and my partner. We are both ill now. Thank you. Thank you to whatever your name is. May you never, ever, ever get infected by somebody else on a plane. I guess that's just part and parcel of the travel these days, though, eh?
You know, yeah, I guess so.
Oh, there's another
gem.
Perfect gem of deep financial analysis from the inimitable Ed Milewski. Ed, I saw you at an event last night.
Yeah. No. Somebody said that there was free wine.
Really? And was the wine flowing freely?
Yeah, it was flowing freely. It was a nice event. Unfortunately, it didn't start so late. I had to leave before the official part of the event commenced.
Oh.
But you know, I certainly was there and made the rounds, met some people.
That's hilarious. So everybody I brought stuck around, drank the free wine until the speaker started, and then they left. That's to be expected.
Yeah, no, I've heard the story before.
Right. I've been following that story for years. In case you're wondering what we're referring to, ladies and gentlemen, the company is called RFID. RFID.
I don't know. Is it RFID?
No, it's not RFID. No. It's RF something. Hold on here. You'd think we'd know if we were about to give you some, but anyways, we don't own it, so it's not like we're promoting it or anything at this point yet. Yeah. What did you think? So you didn't hear the presentation?
I didn't. Well, I did hear, though, that they had... Well, you know what? We all had to sign letters. I think we got to be careful what we say here.
We have to sign letters?
Confidentiality agreements, yeah.
I didn't sign anything.
Jesus.
I can say whatever I want.
Well, I can't.
I can give away the whole damn military black box secret if I wanted to.
So interestingly enough, the 10-year rate is moving up as the Fed just cut. Like, a lot of people are starting to say the Fed's lost control of short-term interest rates. And if that has happened, this may be the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back.
The inciting event.
Look, there's something funny going on, and these things happen on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But if you've just dropped
what happens
rates
on a regular basis?
What's that?
What happens on a regular basis?
Funny things.
Funny business?
Funny business. Monkey business. Jesus. Okay, so my simian friend here. Simian
friend?
Yeah.
That means a monkey.
Oh, you just said a barrel of monkeys.
Boy, we are going to have some fun today.
Yeah.
Pestilence notwithstanding.
So why would rates be going up? Why would the bond market be losing steam after they've cut rates? The Fed may be losing control here.
Really?
If the Fed loses control...
Katie barred the door?
Well, let's just I want to put up the S&P here to see.
Let's see it. It's about time we got some real data here.
Okay, let's
speculating.
No more guessing. No
more
guessing.
Flabber lipping, lipper flabbing.
SP, here we go. Survey says S&P, down 18 points. I'm going to put up a 3-month chart, and there it is. So, look, We talked about this yesterday. Look at that that's a red candle moving away from the attempt at breaching the previous all-time high. So it's all here, folks. There's your high. There's your attempt, which failed. And now we're going, now, it's still, look, the Bollingers at this end here, after we broke here, we're still in that a slight upward trend. It's not a severe upsloping trend. So there you go. Tell me, what's going to happen next? If we can't get through the high, we got to go lower. It's not going to stay up here.
No, eh?
I shouldn't say that.
Let's look at, on my screen, I've got the spot price of gold right now. And as you can see, there's been a rather convincing sell-off.
Sell-off of gold, and yet, if gold's selling off, you'd expect the market to rally. It's a conundrum.
Well, this is the thing. J.P. Morgan just had 3 of their traders arrested for manipulating gold over the last 10 years in the futures market, which is where we said it all happened. Mainstream media downplayed it as these guys are spoofing trades, but if you read the Department of Justice press release, it goes way deeper than that. There's a logger investigation. So I'm looking at the price of gold and I'm thinking, yeah, that makes sense. They're going to come out, cut rates by a quarter point, and then they're going to dump on gold and try to juice the S&P to project the message or the sentiment that gold is no longer manipulated because we arrested these guys and this is this genuine price that you're looking at. And yes, cutting rates is a good thing. Just look at the S&P, which is complete bullshit. And that's what I think, that's how I categorize the markets these days.
Yeah.
They're complete bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, it may be. I mean, you can still, if you can guess right, you can still make money.
Yes. Well, that's just it. Now it's very much a flip of the coin.
FedEx warned. Okay, FedEx is one of those companies that if they're saying there's a slowdown, like FedEx is, like people are going, really, because it's an integral delivery system, right? I mean,
I've got a FedEx box on my desk right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, shit is slowly but surely hitting the proverbial fan.
Look at $1.63 on. Somebody said to me, but I'm jumping all over the place here, but on the CanTrust, they said that they have sort of some way to get their license back. Is that right?
Yeah, if the tires fly off your car and you wipe out into a ditch and the thing rolls over and bursts into flames, you can put the tires back on it once the fire goes out.
Right.
But the question is, what are you going to do with a car like that?
No.
And I don't understand what complete buffoon would be projecting the idea that there's a recovery scenario.
Well, they're going to get their ass sued. I mean, didn't Bank of America take them all around the U.S. to raise money? Like, that takes balls. There's going to be jail time.
No. It's going to be the story that keeps on giving for a long time. It's going to spawn movies and this, that, and the other thing. Anyways, we're going to hear about the news today right now from Laura McCallum.
Yeah.
Here's what's making cannabis news this Wednesday, September 18th, 2019. The Supreme Cannabis Company announced its financial and operating results for the fourth quarter and fiscal year ended June 30th, 2019. Q4 net revenue was $19 million, a 90% increase from Q3 2019. Net losses in the quarter amounted to $421,000, or $0 per share. Cash and cash equivalents at the end of the quarter was $54.8 million. Company forecasts net revenue for fiscal 2020 to be between $150 and $180 million, with positive adjusted EBITDA for fiscal 2020. CanTrust Holdings received a notice of license suspension. The notice states that Health Canada has suspended CanTrust's authority to produce cannabis, other than cultivating and harvesting, and to sell cannabis. While the suspension remains in effect, CanTrust will be permitted to cultivate and harvest existing lots or batches previously propagated, as well as conducting ancillary activities to those lots, including drying, trimming, and milling. During the suspension, CanTrust may not propagate new lots or batches of cannabis or engage in the sale or distribution of cannabis. Australia's Capital Inc. has qualified to trade on the OTC QX Best Market. Australia's capital upgraded to OTCQX from the OTCQB venture market and has begun trading under the symbol AUSAF. Curaleaf Holdings announced the opening of its 7th dispensary in Arizona in the Phoenix metro area. Earlier this year, Curaleaf agreed to acquire Phytotherapeutics Management Services, and the license associated with that dispensary was applied to Curaleaf Pavilions. Agroflora Organics International announced the company's wholly owned subsidiary, Canutra Naturals, has been awarded a cannabis research license by Health Canada. The research license permits Canutra to pursue the development of proprietary cannabis genetics and phenotypes in its 76-acre campus in Kent County, New Brunswick. Flower One Holdings announced that one of the company's subsidiaries has entered into a sale-leaseback agreement with Treehouse Real Estate Investment Trust. Treehouse will purchase the 25,000 square foot indoor cultivation and production facility in North Las Vegas for $20 million. The company will lease the Needham property from the Treehouse for a term of 20 years with 2 10-year extension options. Nutritional High International announced an exclusive distribution relationship in California with Extract Solutions through its wholly owned subsidiary Calix Brands. Under the 1-year auto-renewable agreement effective immediately, Calix will distribute the manufacturer's Hella Dank brand of ice water hashish concentrates. And that's your news for today. To keep up to date with all things cannabis, visit the Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
Yeah, so brilliant day in the cannabis space. I don't know if you've been following that story.
There we go. I see it going across the tape. Announced that it's entered into a bulk supply agreement with Kaliva to provide bulk distillate, bulk live resin, and live resin packaged as finished products.
Halo. RavenQuest Bio's in the news too.
Jeepers creepers.
Look at that. RavenQuest has signed a joint venture agreement.
Look at this chrono slipping by at 1440.
Never mind. Look at that. C-Web at 2208. Anyways, I was just kidding. It's not a nice day in the cannabis space. Here's the 4 cannabis indexes for your dining and dancing pleasure. We have the Midas Letter Large Cap Index, which is all Canadian listed companies trading above $500 million market cap. Down 2.83% to 214 points to 7,384. That is beyond half of where it was. Oh, let's go back a bit here. Let's go look at the 3-year. So there's the all-time. See, I don't like it when it does this thing right in front of the.
Right in front of your eyes?
Well, it's just so stupid. I guess March 22. No, let's see. The high. So the high of the entire cycle of the cannabis stocks was 12,700. It's now at 7,000. Not quite half. Looking at the smaller cap stocks. Down 0.81%. The CSE index is down 4.2%. And the venture index down 0.28. So the summer doldrums that looked like it was going to end there with a few days of bounce is now back in full swing. And
but weed's still at 37.50.
Well, okay.
It's near the highs. But weed is a different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Well, when you say near the highs, near what highs?
Well, the recent highs.
It's
got a 7.5 point move, so 7.5 on 30.
Yeah, well, actually, 25%. Here's the canopy growth chart, and this is looking kind of good.
What do they call the high pitched singers in opera? Castrati.
Castrati. I don't like the sound of that, Edward. Jesus Christ.
Castrati.
No. That's not even a good joke. Castrati yourself.
Very few people know that I'm an opera buff.
I see.
Yeah.
Are you a castrati?
What? What are you talking about?
Now you're just imitating me. Now you're just being cruel.
I'm taking this personally. What?
He says you sound like a second parrot. Anyways, but look at this in the
parrots have.
Look at this. This is so. It has been putting on, a reversal here since September 2nd, where it bottomed at $31.20, and now it's up to $38.28. It touched today, which is not bad.
Well, yeah, but is that where it is now? $38.20? Is it?
No, right now it's at $37.45, $37.85.
I think that we'd have to agree. I can't even speak properly because my mouth is full of marbles.
Oh, can I have some?
You know, we have to say the volatility is slowly being wrenched out of this marijuana space. You can say whatever you want, but we're never, even when we have up days, the up days aren't as dramatic as they used to be.
Well, yeah.
High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter. Well, yet, you know, as I was saying to my dear subscribers to my newsletter yesterday, that with all of the, let's see, and who was the one?
Are you talking to deer now?
Deer, yes.
Like the ones from the forest?
Doe, a deer, a female deer, Ray, a drop of golden sun.
Me, I call myself.
I can't sing that. Actually, we sing that at Christmas time, don't we?
Yeah, no, that's Old
Look
Lang
at
Syne.
this. The relative strength in gold. Look at
this.
Down here about
Now, if you put up a little bigger chart, you'll see there was a gap down there that I think has to get filled, and I think that we're getting close to filling that gap here. So I can't believe, put up like a 1 month chart. I think it's on the 1 month chart. Yeah.
1 month, okay, so we'll go back to August 13th. There we go. Well, there's one gap down there.
Yeah. We filled it yet?
Well, no.
See, we're through on a short-term basis here, like on a 1 month chart. We're through the bands. We're really yes and no. Never mind.
Anyways, Keith Strachan stopped in to say hello, and here's that conversation. Keith Strachan joins me now. He's the president of MediPharm Labs. Keith, welcome back.
Thanks for having us again. Really excited to be back.
It is my pleasure. Keith, in the universe where most of the market has halved in price, MediPharm has done one hell of a job. MediPharm Labs, rather, has done one hell of a job of maintaining a robust performance in the marketplace. What is it that you guys are doing so differently that's attracting such a positive response from investors?
Yeah, I think we're really happy with the way things are going on the capital market side, and I think really what's happening is we're getting a lot of traction just going out there and talking about the fundamental of business. So I think cannabis and where it started versus cannabis where it's now, I think investors, especially on the institutional side and even on the retail side, they're looking for the business fundamentals. So if you look at our results that we published for Q2, $32 million, EBITDA positive without the adjustment, positive cash flow. I don't think that this is something that we see in cannabis companies across the industry. So that really gives us an opportunity to differentiate ourselves, and has really helped us with that in that side of the business.
Sure. And is that kind of financial performance on that trajectory going out into the next few quarters? Are you giving any kind of guidance at this point?
We're not giving any guidance at this point. We will see incremental increases in our business as we have in the past. I think if you look at last quarter, we're up almost 40% from the quarter before. Obviously, as we roll out, and depending on how Cannabis 2.0 rolls out on timing, that may smooth a little bit from that huge hockey stick. But by all means, we're still pumping a lot of oil in our facility in Barrie, and we will see an increase for sure.
Yeah, we haven't come and shot with our documentary crew there yet, have we?
No, not yet. We did like an interview from I think over Skype or something, but we'll have to get you and the team up and
we'll
check it out.
Put it there. Yeah. All right. So what is the main driver of your revenue at this point?
Main driver of our revenue today is concentrate, like in a bulk format. So that intermediate product.
So like an isolate?
Yeah, an isolate, a distillate, or a resin. For the most part, it's a winterized resin. So it's gone through the extraction process, and then we've done solvent to remove the fats and waxes, and then done a solvent removal process. And that's what we majority sell today. In this quarter and next quarter, we're seeing that move a little bit more towards end products. So we don't do as much of like a tolling service. We buy wholesale. We've purchased from over 20 different license holders in Canada. We make it into our own intermediate product, a resin or distillate, and then we sell that wholesale. So someone like Canopy, when we sell them resin, we're actually giving them a chance to increase their inventory versus just transforming material they already have. And that's kind of what we sell today. But as we look towards the future, a lot of the interest and a lot of where our contracts are going are like private label, white label contracts, where it's a company that doesn't want to touch the plant, doesn't want to have a license. So what we can do is provide a full turnkey solution where we've secured the supply chain for starting material, we make it into a concentrate product, label it, and send it directly into the provincial distribution.
Huh, that sounds attractive. Now, is that so like you're sort of like a B2B platform in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. So we do do a B2B kind of wholesale platform now, and then it's interesting as we get to more of a white label. What we're rolling out is we actually have a provincial sales distribution license. So we're licensed to sell from our facility in Barrie into somewhere like the BCLG or the Ontario Cannabis store. So what we do is we do full turnkey solution where we're making things like KKE oil for 7 acres, start to end, and then putting that into the store. I think we announced earlier in the summer that we'd be doing the same thing with Ace Valley as they launched their vapable products. So taking a vape pen, start to end, and a company like Ace Valley, who's great at marketing and great at finding customers, they do their part and we do our part on the manufacturing side.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so you're adding EU GMP certification in this mix down the road?
Yeah, for sure. I think the whole premise of MediPharm Labs from the beginning was to be a pharma-like facility. Our facility was built and designed by the same people who do places like Pfizer and Purdue, and a lot of our staff now on the quality side, we have over 20 staff in our quality team with a combined experience of 150 years in pharmaceutical manufacturing, anywhere from Apotex to Teva to Eli Lilly. So really, to best leverage that skill set is to go after that EU GMP. So we're getting close to that phase now. We're also looking towards other jurisdictions and GMP certification, such as Australia. We have a facility there, but in order to help with the export of finished goods from Canada, we'll also have the Australian Health Authority come to Canada, review our facility and our processes, and give us that stamp and certification so we can do that export.
So you guys are really set up to export to every corner of the world, aren't you?
Yeah, I think if you look at the opportunity of cannabis, the real opportunity that we're really excited about is that global opportunity, and that is primarily all medical products. So that's really where we're pointing in that direction for growth.
Very cool. And so with the advent of the Cannabis 2.0 in Canada, do you see a lot of your product moving into the extracted as ingredients stuff for that realm, and do you see that as a big booster to revenue overall?
Of course, yeah. I think as probably the number one seller of intermediate product, let's call it like that bulk winterized resin or distillate. Anyone who's getting into the business now who is great at making drinks, packaging drinks, and distributing drinks, we don't want a bottling line in Barrie, but we partner with companies like that to give them the active ingredient to make that. So whether it's a drink or an edible or any other Cannabis 2.0 product, we can really be that active ingredient provider, and that gives us a huge opportunity for ramp up in sales, call it 2020, as we see more and more of those products and some of those facilities become approved.
Sure. Do you think that the controversy surrounding vapes in the news lately is going to cause any sort of downdraft on your progress?
At MediPharm individually, I don't see that big downdraft. I think what's happened in the news and we're seeing is very tragic, and but I think it's important to note that where that's happening is places where there's no federal regulatory oversight. So I think it's really important that Canada instill that oversight so that we could make sure that this doesn't happen here in Canada or happen frequently. And then as the regulatory market moves in, MediPharm and other license holders, that we're providing customers with something that's safe and easy to consume, and I think that's what differentiates ourselves from that black market vape that you could buy today. That's
an interesting I've never heard anybody sort of play it like that because the U.S. doesn't have federal oversight, of course people are dying. That's an interesting concept, but I mean, is it really just black market vapes that's causing the problem?
Well, I think it's the lack of regulation. So if you look at in Canada, cannabis, all producers, all of us are governed by Health Canada, same governing body for food safety, nutraceuticals, and pharmaceuticals. So when we introduce a new product, they put us through the ringer, and they don't so we go through a process where we're showing them how we make it, what we use to make it, what ingredients are going in, how did we qualify those ingredients. So for example, when we bring in something to mix distillate for a vape cartridge, we qualify that supplier, then we qualify the product that they're intending to sell us, and then every single shipment that comes in, we also release that into production through a qualification process.
Wow.
So if you look to the United States, well, some of those jurisdictions are regulated. They're not regulated by the FDA. And what that is, where the missed opportunity there is they're not going through the rigorous program of that supply chain quality management system.
Right.
So, well, they might be producing at scale and producing somewhat quality. It's just that missing link in the supply chain where there's that big risk.
Sure. Okay, what's going to drive most of MediPharm Labs' growth going forward into the next year?
I think basically what we're touched on, we're really excited about global opportunities. So our facility in Australia is near completion now, and we hope to be operational there very shortly as they come. And then as we compile our international certifications at our Canadian facility, it's really export and the export opportunities for medical. I think adult use in Canada is great, and we will always be in that market. But what we're most excited about and what's really going to drive that growth is that global medical market.
Sure. And finally, tell me about the quality of earnings as you evolve into the maturity. I mean, one of the main things we're seeing is that, yes, there's revenue, but the margins are not translating into significant net income. Do you expect, in your case, because you're already sort of advanced in that regard, that's not going to be a problem for you and you've kind of got that in hand?
Yeah, I think we've got a really good control over that. And if you look at our last quarterly results, we're almost about 40% gross margin. And as we move towards end products, we could see that even better. So where we might see a bit of price compression on flower, then price compression on actually like crude resin or distillate in bulk, I think in end products, especially medical products, is where we see that margin sustainability. So I think that's something that we've planned for and we're ready for. We're, like I said, we're a positive EBITDA today, so we can only improve from here. So whereas some might be starting from more of those negative balance sheets, we're already positive on ours today.
Wow, that's great, Keith. Congratulations on your good
thanks.
work, and thanks for joining me again.
Awesome. See you soon.
You bet. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com. So, interestingly, Ed, you're saying that the bonds are selling off, just to resume the topic here.
Yeah.
Despite a increased rate.
Well, now they're selling off again.
Oh.
No, okay, but if you put up this chart, okay, let's see here. That's the 10-year. That is a 1 month chart of the 10-year rate.
Okay.
So the 10-year rate, okay, here, which was at the turn of the month, okay, but at the end of the month, was roughly 142, maybe 143. Okay, so you move the yields on the right of the right-hand axis here. You just move the decimal over 1 point. So 143, 144. It hit 190 2 weeks later. So that's there's your overnight repo rate reflected in the 10-year bond. So what happens when the bonds our yields are rising? Gold gets hammered. Okay, because gold works really well in a period of falling rates.
Theoretically, if it's not manipulated.
Theoretically, but look, so since then, we've had your rates have backed off a bit, and gold has rallied a bit. And today, you got a candle here that it tried to pop, but we're still in this channel. I'd say we're still in this channel. So rates are in a bit of a downward trend right now, at least the 10-year rate. And as long as rates are dropping, I would expect gold to turn around and rally here very quickly. On the other hand, if somebody starts selling bonds in a big way, whether it's a sovereign nation like China or whatever, you start selling bonds, yields go up, gold goes down. That's usually what happens. Usually.
In an unmanipulated, free and unfettered market.
I think the emperor doesn't wear any clothes anymore, to be honest with you.
Well, this is the thing, you look at the cannabis stocks. Now, cannabis market's obviously suffering from its own credibility issues that is essentially alienating investors. It's been overpriced. It's been taken too high. The wind's coming out of the sails. Everybody's stepping aside, waiting for, see where the chips are going to lay, when the torment is going to stop. But so what is the sector in this environment that you, as a crusty, wizened, smart dude, would recommend?
I think we're going to have commodity inflation. I think ultimately what's going on here with this printing, and never been printing like we've had. I think we got to start to see some evidence of serious inflation. And boy, if we do, well, the banks want it. Everybody wants inflation ultimately to marginalize the debt.
Right.
Yeah, the more inflation we have, the less the debt becomes a factor.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
You inflate it away.
How do you do that?
Well, like let's say like for instance, now there's 4 times as much money as there was in 2000.
Okay, let's say we've got our friend Peter over there kicking back with his heels up in Malaga, Spain.
Right.
And he's selling us macadamia nuts from Spain.
Yeah.
And we've been paying $5 a bushel for macadamia nuts from Spain.
Yeah.
And inflation drives the price of macadamia nuts to $7 a bushel.
Yeah.
How are we happy about that?
Well, we're not happy.
Oh, okay. So how does that make the government happy?
Because the government's, they're always happy.
The government's always
they control
happy. No, but how does that get rid of their debt? Through financial repression?
Well, because if you have major inflation, then the money becomes worthless. So the debt becomes irrelevant. Like, in other words, remember when was it Rhodesia?
You're trying to pull something over on me here. I know you are.
No, like if
this doesn't
if
make
there's
any sense.
major inflation, then your $1,000 bill tomorrow is worth $800. So if you owe money,
you mean so I pull it out of my pocket in the morning, I say, look, that 1 and 3 zeros has changed to an 8 and 2 zeros.
No, but remember when was it Rhodesia? Not Rhodesia, it was
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, they had billion-dollar notes.
Yeah.
Billion-dollar notes. Why?
Wow. They had to make them bigger just to get all those zeros.
Yeah, exactly. Big notes. They had, they had full scat.
And they used to pull them around in wheelbarrows.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we'll see. I mean, that's the German experience, right? They were moving around with wheelbarrows of money.
Right. So
that's what everybody's trying to prevent. I mean, you know what? I'm not Friedman. What's Milton Friedman?
You're not?
Well,
you look like you could be a Milton to me.
Yeah, Millie.
Milter. Milt Jackson.
Look, this is a conundrum of the highest order, and I'm sure a lot of these people in power just hope that the shit doesn't hit the fan until in their watch. They're just kicking the can down the road. That's all they're doing. In the meantime,
kicking the can down the road, boy, all these cliches, but essentially, it seems to me that the government's just printing money, and the guys at the top of the food chain are hiving it off into private capital pools. And
yeah, why is it all of a sudden there's shortage of money?
How is that possible?
Because fewer people have it.
Well, so the guys who get the money get to take it out of the system, and it's not like we'll let you keep the money, but you got to lend it out to the people. They say, you know what? I'm not risking this money that I stole from the people. I'm just going to keep it.
You know that song that's on there right now called "I Got Money"?
So, at what point do you think this becomes a sufficiently aggravating social tactic that people say, you know what, if I see a rich motherfucker walking down the street, I'm just going to kick his ass and take his money?
In other words, when anarchy develops.
Well, that's not really anarchy, because 90% of the people feel that way. They're looking to kick the ass of the 10%. I think that's more like, fair.
Yeah. You know what, no matter how I look at this, I can't see it ending well.
No.
The only thing that seems to make sense to me is that we could have a once in a several generation event like a depression that would wipe everything, start over.
Well, I can see a scenario. If you look at how the EU has started a $2.3 trillion bond buying program, and their goal is to bring the balance sheet of the ECB up to 4.5 trillion. What's the U.S. balance sheet at right now? 4.5 trillion. And I think what I'm seeing is a collusion among governments to equalize nominally their balance sheets of their central banks, because that is the prerequisite for a mutual forgiveness of debt that could actually, suddenly they're just going to say, you know what, take that money and put it away. Every single of your dollars is going to be worth 1/10 of a new unit of currency, a Mero, special drawing unit, gold de bloom, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's going to cause a downward revision in the net worth of pretty much everyone except those at the very top, right? And at that point, I say it's fair game on those, on the ultra wealthy. It's just cap their asses.
Yeah, cap them.
Cap them right in the street.
Pow.
Pow!
Cap their kneecaps.
And that's, I think, the thing that they got to be worried about the most. And like, oh, fuck that, I've got my private island over here, and you can't fucking come near me, you cretin.
What about drones, though?
Well, there's all kinds of ways. You know, this is the one thing that, you know, this is the thing that the elite never learned throughout history, is that abuse the goodwill of the general human being long enough, they will find a way to pay retribution.
Well, ask Marie Antoinette.
Marie Antoinette, ask what was Henry VIII's wife that he chopped off her head?
Yeah.
Boy, I bet you never mind. That's just not going to work out. That's going to sound like a sexist bullshit thing.
I know.
We're not that. We're not that.
We got to be politically
right.
No matter what we do, we got to
watch
be
what we
politically.
say. We don't want to get turfed. Anyways, we love everyone equally, right, Ed?
Yeah.
Except rich guys who have 0.1% of the wealth.
It's 6 people. Apparently, 6 to 8 people have the bottom half of the world's wealth.
Cap their motherfucking asses.
Like, spread it around.
Yeah. Don't give it away.
Yeah, and if you ever notice how they got, oh no, we're gonna give it all away, but not while we're alive.
Right, and not to you or me. We're going to give it to some XYZ private fund charity in perpetuity, which is just a way of saying that my kids will be able to milk this for all it's worth for the rest of time until one of them comes along as a drug addict and blows it all.
Wow.
Or something like that. So FedEx shares are down drastically on bad financial results, and that is
warning.
That's significant.
Yeah, it is.
Because that means that, wait a sec, FedEx ships half of the world's products overnight.
Duh.
And if half the world's
does Amazon use FedEx, or do they have their own?
Amazon and FedEx, I think, have parted company. Okay. Officially.
Okay.
I think there's still some interplay there. But so FedEx shares plummeting. Purdue Pharma is going out of business, but that's not anything to do with the economy per se.
Yeah.
And the manufacturers of Juul are.
That JUUL.
Yeah.
Yeah, this vape thing may end up biting people in the ass. I think to your point about
especially the people who have died.
Well, oil. I'm not sure oil gets burnt off that easy.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah, how's your lungs? Nicely coated in a nice oil.
Yeah. So Altria, which owns Marlboro, also owns a big chunk of Kronos Group. They bought 35% of Juul, thinking this is a good alternative solution to the diminishing audience in cigarettes. We'll turn them on to vaping because that's safe.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
You know what it really boils down to is that it looks like from the time, there were farms where, the kings would say, you pay me tribute.
Give me a pig.
I'll protect you.
You swine.
But then you better start praying for crops. And I've got the guy right here, the cardinal and the Monsignor. You pray to him that you get good crops, and so you can give me your cut. I'll protect you. Ever since that shit started, it's created all kinds of inequities.
Well, that's
like think about the royal. Everybody loves the royal family, but
I don't.
No offense, but look, how many people were murdered for you to get power?
What's that? What throws that? Next up, Mark Latimer spoke to Helena Strachan from Global Public Affairs.
Welcome back. My guest today is Helena Strachan, Senior Consultant at Global Public Affairs. Welcome, Helena.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So good to have you on the show. I know you have many clients of yours who have been on the show. Can you start by telling us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So Global Public Affairs is the largest privately held government relations and strategic communications firm in Canada. We have a dedicated cannabis practice of which I am a part of. And a lot of folks, when they hear government relations, it mystifies them a little bit. It sounds very broad. And so what we do specifically is we work at the intersection of business and industry. So we help business relay their objectives to government, often in a way that is palatable, and relaying the goals that are shared by both government and industry that hopefully results in a policy that's palatable for all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you say you love most about the work that you're doing?
What I love most about the work I'm doing is that from a policy perspective, it has so many different interplays. So cannabis, as you would think, involves both justice and health, as well as law enforcement. So when I say I work in the cannabis sector, it's really not just with those who touch the plant. It's the community associations of which a retailer or a community association of which a retailer is setting up shop in. It's the police associations who are using drug testing devices for the first time. So the variety and the dynamism is really what attracts me to my line of work.
Okay, sounds really interesting. Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges being faced in the industry right now?
Sure. So from my perspective, what I would perceive to be the challenges would be that with elected officials, a lot of them, because cannabis is relatively new, or at least the regulated industry is, they just don't have a clear understanding of what's involved in the production and the manufacturing of both dried flower and the new cannabis product forms. So what we're seeing is that there's some policy proposals being put forth, and I would actually name the government of Quebec's recent draft regulation as one of them that is not cohesive to current industry realities or market realities as well. So I think that's the challenge I'm having, but that's where I come in and trying to bridge that gap. So it's a challenge I'm up to for sure.
Let's look at, you were recognized as top 30 under 30 people in cannabis to watch. Can you tell us a little bit about that award and what that means?
Sure. So it was a post-media article, specifically the Growth Op. And I would firstly say there aren't many of us under 30 in the cannabis sector. And to be honest, I don't really like to advertise my age, because I think there's a little bit of an assumption that, the younger you are, the more inexperienced you are. But when it comes to cannabis, we're all new to cannabis. So I think for me, having cut my teeth in the industry, so to speak, I'm as experienced as many of my peers who were named in that article and given that similar honor.
And what is Cannabis Connect? You're a member. Tell me a little bit about this association or.
So Cannabis Connect, funnily enough, is or actually it used to be the branded name of our cannabis service offering, our cannabis practice at Global. Since we launched our tech practice, which was branded GPA Tech, we did a little bit of a rejig with cannabis as well. So what the practice encompasses is the services we offer to our clients. So our firm has offices from coast to coast, from Vancouver to Halifax, and each of those individuals in our offices work to service the cannabis industry in various ways, as I was outlining earlier, in terms of liaising with local officials, helping them with advocacy campaigns, and just helping them get their objectives and their message out to both the general public and elected officials and regulators. So that's what Cannabis Connect would be.
Makes sense. Can you talk about some of your clients and some of the new work that they're doing, or something that you'd like to highlight?
Sure.
What stands out?
Sure. So I work with a variety of different clients in the space.
Okay.
So I think when people think cannabis, government relations, there's a bit of a natural assumption that it's just cultivators or licensed producers, when in reality I work with certainly licensed producers, but also technology companies, those offering a B2B online wholesale marketplace. I work with those manufacturing vaporizer devices. I work with industry associations.
So it's quite broad. It's not.
It's quite broad. So but in terms of the work that they're doing, I think, look, we have a federal election coming up on October 21st, and the campaign has officially kicked off. A lot of these organizations are trying to engage their local candidates as they're seeking their vote to hopefully hold the seat come October, and really relay the economic benefits of the cannabis industry. You know, how many local jobs they've created, what they're going to bring to the region and the community. And I think that's a really exciting part of the work that they're doing, and of course I get to be lucky enough to assist with.
Got it. Now, let's switch gears here a little bit. As far as the U.S. is concerned, are you thinking that there's a big opportunity for exports possibly in the future, or is this going to be somewhat monopolized by big cannabis in the U.S.?
The export question is one I get asked a lot, and what I would say to that is it's down the line. So as per current Health Canada regulations, exports and imports are only permitted for research or scientific purposes and in very small amounts. There has been no precedent when we talk about imports for anything of commercial amounts, although we've certainly seen some organizations press release that they've shipped quantities to various countries in Europe and South America. In terms of the U.S., I think we're going to have to see a significant change at the federal level before we can talk about exports. And the news reports might indicate that change is coming, but I think it's still a long ways out.
Aside from exports, what other news should people be looking out for to indicate possible market change that might affect their investments?
I would say compliance and corporate governance are a big piece of that.
Okay.
Obviously, the industry is highly regulated, as it should be, but I think and it's certainly a high standard to uphold. We've seen some organizations that haven't necessarily done so, and it's certainly impacted their shareholders' investments and certainly the entire market, I would say. So I would say we need to look for companies that have a responsible commitment to corporate governance from the very top to the very bottom.
Okay. Well, that's just about all the questions I had. Is there anything you want to leave us with regarding cannabis?
Regarding cannabis, I would just leave you with, we spoke about the federal election. I would urge all constituents or citizens who are involved in the industry, if they are employed by the cannabis industry, they're a cannabis consumer, or they're a medical patient, most importantly, to engage their local candidates and try to make cannabis an election issue. Right now, none of the major party leaders are talking about it. Obviously, there's other issues for them to contend with, but we have a lot of ways to go in this industry, and I think making it an election issue will help us to do that.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time, Helena. Really appreciate it.
If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment. I thought it was interesting that Donald Trump has sided so uniformly with Saudi Arabia. It's appropriate company. You've got the head of Saudi Arabia as a murderer, and you've got the head of the United States as a thief. So what a perfect marriage. I mean, gosh, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Martin Wolf wrote a piece in the Financial Times today suggesting that rigged capitalism has damaged democracy. And I don't often agree with Martin Wolf, though he does occupy quite a more prestigious pulpit than do we over there at the Financial Post.
You're suggesting a religious overtone here, a pulpit?
Well, pulpit, a perch from which to pontificate.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I think you're right. I think we're devolving. Like the more,
We? Speak for yourself.
Well, I'm talking about the royal we. No, devolution.
I figured that.
Devolution. Like we're like
De-evolution.
like what happened in the Roman Empire? Like let's look back. They were putting alloy into the gold coins. Finally, the citizens couldn't take it.
And what happened?
Well,
Rome fell in a day.
the fall of the Roman Empire. Did it fall in a day? I don't think it fell in a day.
Well, technically it fell.
It took 100 years. It took a few hundred years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a theory that Rome rose to power in such an astonishing way because there was a very warm spell back in those times. And that warm spell allowed them to have a couple crops a year, so they were able to build up their food supply. Then once you build up your food supply, you got lots of food, what do? You start taking over other countries.
You're fat.
Hey,
Everybody's fed.
let's go.
They're bored.
Let's go.
They need exercise.
Yeah.
Let's sharpen up that spear and go put the raid on old Tiberius over yonder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so global warming is good.
There you go, folks.
I was reading some stuff that in the New York Times, some essayist, her name escapes me, but she was suggesting that it's a good thing that the world is heating up and humanity will be wiped out because we've really screwed things up.
No, that's true.
Yeah, but that's such a self-defeatist
No, but
like,
look,
good, I'm so glad I'm going to be dead soon. Like, what a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, but if you're a believer in the and
The
you're
great
gonna
white
get, and
telephone in the sky?
you're going to get saved. So that's a good thing, right?
getting admitted
I
into
could
the
never
garden.
understand why, people that are strong believers, they want to live.
Why would they bother?
Like, if you're
Why do we
going,
do what? Heaven's available? Oh. I'm going to heaven. What the hell am I doing here? Exactly. See, that's how you know they don't really believe.
well,
They say they do, but obviously don't. Because if you did believe,
Yeah.
you'd just off yourself immediately. Because what the hell would you be here for if you could go to heaven? Am I right?
it's pretty interesting how the regulations and this and that and this and that and this and that.
That's three this and that's.
I know, lots of this
This,
and that.
this, and that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I look, the financial system. That if every time there's been these expansions, and we just had a 10-year run, right? Like a 10-year run
Yeah.
rate or a 10-year run rate?
Tenure? Of 10
Tenure.
years in duration? In other words, you were there for 10 years. Anyways, let's not confuse the
Okay,
audience any more than we already
let's
do.
look up the chart of Kronos. I want to look at Kronos because we were talking about the fact that they're involved in, a number of different things through their affiliation with the tobacco company. Correct?
Kronos. Never mind Kronos.
Well, look at it.
I'm just kidding. I love Mike Gorenstein. Mike Gorenstein, where have you been? Why aren't you coming to visit us anymore? Probably because we haven't sent an invite. Girls, get Mike Gorenstein.
Well, you know what? Let's look at this. This is interesting. This thing is big, top left to bottom right, and double click.
Yeah,
and
look at that.
Look at this. We had a bottom here, a nice tail on that candle, green candle. We've had a rally. Then we had a real sell-off on that green candle with a big wick. And
Big
now
what?
big wick. I can't pronounce my D's. Anyway, there you go. There you go. Maybe that's a double bottom. Maybe short-term double bottom.
What? Show me again. That didn't look like a short-term double
Here, watch
bottom
this.
to me.
Watch this. You see that? Watch this.
Oh. Whoa.
Hey, duh.
That looks like a stickman breakdance.
There you go.
He's doing the shimmy shimmy. Anyways,
Yeah. What else do you want to know?
what else do I
What do you
want
want
to know?
to? What chart do you want me to put up?
You know,
Before
I want to know what everybody else wants to know, Ed. What's going to happen next?
Well, pretty much the same.
Really? Things don't really change drastically.
If you think about, we go through all this to get the right guy in power, but what really changes? Now, if you're really close to the inner circle, yeah, you might get some perks. But the average guy doesn't give a rat's ass who's in power. I mean, it's bullshit.
Well, it's like power. The ultimate power is like a pyramid with ladders climbing up it. The higher you climb, the fewer the people you've got trying to stomp on your hands and kick you off the ladder altogether.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to the top. But the closer you get to the top, the more focused that guy is on keeping you at least one rung down from the ultimate height of power. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Good point.
Good point.
So we should buy some gold, do you think?
Well, you know what? We've had a hell of a run. We've had the big run, but gold, let's see here. I want to just see, is it holding the
30.90 on the nugget.
30.90 on the nugget? Okay, and that was down to 29. So that's a pretty nice move off the bottom. And I think gold is going to settle, at least in the first contract month, It's going to settle over 1,500.
My average fill price was $31.18 on the nugget.
Oh yeah, here you go, losing money already.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, well, how does it always get filled at the high?
Because when you see it moving, you rush in be thinking it's going to keep moving.
Is that what happens?
That's
I just rushed in because you said it was going to keep moving. Look,
well.
down to 30.76 now.
Oh. Well.
Well, we'll see what happens. We just have to turn a blind eye to it, don't we? It's not going to zero, is it?
Gold?
Yeah. I mean, I would say of all the asset classes out there, the only one with zero chance of going to zero is got to be gold.
Yeah.
Everything else could go to zero. Any business can be burned to the ground. Any currency can become obsolete. But gold will always remain.
Well, it could become a liquid. You could melt
Liquid
it.
gold. What does that make it worth less? No, it doesn't. And one might argue it makes it worth more because now you can drink it. And you can drink it and turn yourself into a trinket. Boy, oh boy, we're getting desperate.
We're really
for humor
reaching here,
We're
aren't we?
getting to the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what are you thinking? You know, it'll be interesting to see what the 10-year yield does going forward because, you know, we had this scare, caused rates to go from 144 level to 190.
So was that inversion the prelude to this emergency repo operation by the Fed?
That's what started happening. There's a shortage of cash.
So that's just it. Everybody's looking at the repo operation where the Fed pumps $123 billion into the system, essentially an ad hoc quantitative easing event, and looks at it in isolation and says, oh, well, this could have been happening and that could have been happening. But nobody looks at it in the context of, but 2 weeks ago we had a major inversion between the 10-year and the 2-year, which is also indicative of a great destabilization of the tectonic plates that underlie the financial markets.
And remember, a month ago, they started talking about the short-term rate starting to edge over. Well, this is what's happened. You see, the Fed fund. So this was why these things bring on recessions. Because why in the hell would you put money, go buy a 10-year bond?
Is there going to be a recession?
These, generally speaking, these inverted yields predict a recession about a year down the road. I think they almost do it every time. So we're starting to get.
Well, as long as it doesn't come on before I get my first crop in.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else is going on in the world today? Let's take a look at what is the best performing cannabis stocks before we call it a day.
I think weed's up there.
Yeah, probably weed is. Let's see here. Okay, I love it when the internet turns slow on us.
Oh, look at this. 31.11 now on the nugget. Oh, damn, you're actually almost breaking even. Shit.
Damn.
No, let's see what happens.
Weed's up 1.8%. Cureleaf is up 2.3. Do you know why Cureleaf is up 2.3? Because Vivian Azer from Cowen picked 3 U.S. stocks for her top contenders, and that was Green Thumb was number 1. Cureleaf, I think, was number 2. And then the third one was, what was the third one? Trueleaf?
Trueleaf might be, or C-Web?
C-Web. Let's just take a quick look. Vivian Azer's top picks. Top marijuana stocks. There she is. Oh, well, this isn't it. This isn't the article I was looking for. Oh, yes, this is it. Yahoo Finance. Green Thumb Industries, target price of $18.50. Cureleaf with a target price of $10.50. And Cresco Labs was number 3, target price of $14 per share.
Remember that you used to be able to buy that can of lard called Crisco?
You sometimes substitutes.
It always looks so damn good, lard. Like if you buy yourself some lard, it looks so nice and white and nice and smooth. You want to take a nice spoonful and just eat it. I used to think it was like dessert or something. We used to sit around. Okay, time for dessert. Let's have a few scoops of lard. What's wrong?
I don't know, Edward.
Lard sounds better than shortening. What the hell is shortening?
Mama little baby loves shortening. Mama little baby loves shortening bread. Went to the doctor said, feed them babies on shortening bread. Anyways, that is our show.
That's it,
for
our show.
today.
We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be able to speak then.